grew up in a very small town in upstate New York called Unionville. It is on the border of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So that's considered like the tri-state area. And it was very rural. So I went to like the same school district from K through 12, and everybody went there. My graduating high school class was 250 students, and the incoming freshman class was like double the size. Where I lived was like commuter land to New York City, but still very, very rural. Then I went to college in upstate New York, got my undergrad, and then moved to Boston. I lived there for about 10 years. And then so teaching is actually a career change for me. When I was living in Boston, I worked in recruiting and worked for like a startup and kind of grew up, essentially became an adult working for this company as it was a baby itself. So experienced a lot of really, really cool things and loved living in Boston. And the company had opened an office in Denver, and they needed some more leadership in the Denver office. And so I moved out here. And then I got laid off at the end of the year because they decided to go in like a totally different direction. But it was, kind of a blessing in disguise because I didn't realize that I was ready for a change and that it was more than like location of where I was living. And so I moved from Boston to Denver, and that was in 2015. And then I started to just try and figure out like what I wanted to do. I tried to stay in the same industry and had a couple jobs where I was just kind of not into it. And then my mom was like, I don't know why you're avoiding teaching, because I had always talked about being a teacher when I was younger and just took a totally different path. And then I was working for Life Touch, actually, the school,
the picture
company. Yep. Mm-hmm. And when I had decided I wanted to get into teaching, I started talking to all the teachers that were bringing their students down to get their pictures taken. And this one woman who I'm actually still friends with started telling me about a grad school program that she was doing. And I looked into it. It's called ELA-E. And everything about ELA-E seemed really great. I could work at the same time and being paid as a student teacher, which is unheard of.
I know.
So I was a math fellow. So I was tutoring small groups in math and doing so I was essentially kind of doing three things at once. I was a math tutor, a student teacher in a fifth grade classroom, and I was doing grad school. So that was the year that COVID started. So it was a very wild year. And then I ended up here. I landed here. So
what is your current role at CMS?
So this year I'm teaching fourth and fifth grade, and I am primarily teaching math, but I'm also teaching fifth grade science. So the kids that I have see a different teacher for literacy.
Okay. So the families that are listening or watching to this episode might know that if their kids are going to be in fourth or next year of fifth grade, mm-hmm. they might have Miss Sumner.
Correct.
What do you do for fun?
I really enjoy cooking. So I like to cook and host people at my house. And we like to, just kind of go to parks, go hiking. We go to a lot of different dog parks with our dog Luna Bell. And I like yoga. I like to do yoga. I like to spend time with friends and family. And
what do you love most about education?
I really like spending time with children. I think it's a lot of fun, and seeing their different view of the world and kind of how they interpret things is really fun. And just hearing them laugh, or even within education, when they get something and how excited they get is really cool.
One of my favorite things about you is how much you see kids as the individual human beings they are. And you're always advocating for their uniqueness, for their differences. You always want to make sure that they're being seen. To me, it's a pleasure just to have you at CMS. In the beginning of your teaching career, who knows how many more years you have of service and impact in our communities. And since day one, I have always seen you as a teacher who really, really cares about the kids. You have had the blessing and the challenge of working with classes where the needs of their kids are very diverse, very special, very unique, and you always respond to each of them as their individual human beings they are.
Yeah, I try and give kids what they need, and I'm not always right, but I try and give them what they're telling me, what I think they're telling me that they need, and kind of meet them where they are, so that they can succeed in whatever that looks like for that student.
What do you love most about CMS?
I've met some really great people at CMS. The community is really wonderful, and I love the kids, and it's just been really great to be able to, because this is a career change for me, and like I'm still in the beginning of my teaching career. I think it's just been really wonderful to get to learn how to be a teacher and like move into the role of the teacher that I want to be.
To me, it's really cool to witness that growth on you. What would you like our students to know about you?
I wish we could play more games than we do. I enjoy, like, when we've been learning about the coordinate plane in 5th grade math, and there's a very popular game that supports that type of knowledge called Battleship. I don't know if you've ever played Battleship before, but it's basically it's kind of like a military strategy game where you're looking for ships and you're trying to sink their ships. So it's like, they have to say, do you have a ship in a very specific coordinate, and you either miss or you hit, and and you have to hit every single part of the ship in order to sink it. So it's like a really fun game to play to kind of cement that skill. And I have told all of the 5th graders that I'm going to play each of them. I'm not halfway through the class yet.
Nice. And when you think about families, future parents of CMS who might be considering this school for their kids, what would you like them to know about you?
I'm happy to talk to them about really anything that they want. So, if they have a concern, a question, or if they just want to understand what's going on in the classroom a little bit more, like I'm happy to have those conversations and welcome them. I have a couple parents who are really engaged, and I wish it was more, to be honest. So
you're more open door policy, more inclusive teacher that would like parents to be a part of your classroom.
Absolutely.
Yep, I have witnessed that as well. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I hope we can finish this year strong, and the future families, if you're interested in older grades, please reach out. It will be a pleasure for us to connect.
No, please do.
Thank you, Miss Alex.
That's it. We're done?
We're done.
Okay.